Heyo everybody, Haku here with my live reaction to read through for Tower of God, Urek Mazino, Chapter 23. The title for this one, The Stench of the Tainted Jewel. Okay. the smell of it all. So I am excited to continue going. I love the spinoff. I think it's so good. I last week got heated, but I think that's very, very good. I think it's good that I like the characters this much, and it's good that there are some stakes. There are some, because so often, I mentioned it last time, so often do I just read things and it's like, I'm not actually worried about anything bad happening to any of the characters. So to have actual danger to the characters I like is pretty refreshing. To feel bad about a character being probably killed is refreshing, because so often it doesn't even happen. So, you know, as much as I don't want characters I like to be killed, I think having the feeling of, dang it, no, I'm losing a character, it's nice every once in a while, because I feel like it's so rare these days. And for this, you know, everyone feels like they're in danger except Urek. Like, anybody could be killed off. Some people we're kind of already assuming will be killed off. Like Rue, if him and Urek ever form an emotional attachment to where Urek could take on that hat. But it's nice. I think everyone except Urek is in danger, but Urek we clearly know Urek is not. So I think that's good. But either way, I am pretty low on the villains. I think it's nice that they're providing danger and all. It's one of those things where I'm just not going to like them. Sort of like I mentioned with Calivan and Rachel, though I feel like I like Calivan and Rachel a lot more now than I used to. But I used to always say I think that Calivan and Rachel are incredibly good as antagonists, but if I'm doing a character ranking, they're not going very high, just because when you ask me to list off characters I like, it's like I think Rachel's incredibly good in the story, but it's like when I'm listing off characters I like, do I like her that much? And the same goes for Calivan, though I think I like both Rachel and Calivan a lot more as characters, you know, after season 3. But I think that's where I am with the villains of this, where I do not like them as characters at all. I think most of them are pretty lame as characters. I say most. We really just kind of have Chungum and Rahab. I think Chungum and Rahab are super, super lame. I like that they are providing some threat to the characters other than Urek, I guess. Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think they're that good of characters either. I just don't think they're very good. I don't like the villains, and I also don't think they're, like, too great or anything. Also, I just don't like the princess at this point. I'm tired of the princess. It's like, whatever mystery there's going on around the princess, or whatever sort of connection she's going to have to Urek, I don't even care that much anymore. I'm past the princess. I care about the other characters. I care about the queen and Evelyn and Rue and Neo and Rohan. Like, I care about these characters. Heck, I care more about Bichon and Berber and, like, those characters than I do about the princess. I care more about seeing more of the princess's sniper teammate than I care about the princess. She's kind of lost me. I will be real, she's kind of lost me. But either way, let's read 23 and talk about it. I feel like compared to other series, I just finished recording ORV. And at the end, I'm sorry if it was kind of low energy at the end. I was like, well, that's just a chapter this week. And I didn't really have a lot to say about it. But then for Tower of God, I just feel like I could yep for forever. So either way, let's continue. We have episode 23. We start with, Rohan, I was wondering why Nail called for help. Are you the one who dared to hurt my friends? And he's staring down the bull like, no, you're blaming the wrong guy. Also, the princess, she really just betrayed, like, they could have all just worked together and passed the test, but she purposefully went out of her way to be like, I'm gonna betray him instead. No, I'm gonna go after Urek's teammates instead. Absolute bitch behavior. Me no like. Then, you've got it all wrong, Mazino. I'm the one who... Your Highness, wait. He doesn't have to know that. What? Let him believe the bull attacked his friend. That way he'll go after the monster and destroy it. At the moment, that bull is our biggest threat. So Neo making plays already. Neo really feeling more like the coon of the team, lying to Bomb about his friends being hurt. You know, very, very coon play. Then, episode 23, The Stench of the Tainted Jewel. He walks up to the bull. And honestly, it was cool to see the bull's back and everything, but I feel like I've kind of moved past the bull as a villain too at this point. Maybe because he's being powered up by Chungoom, and I'm not that interested in Chungoom. He roars. Like, I think maybe Mago and some of the other silhouettes that we haven't really seen yet might be cool. But, yeah, I'm just going to keep clowning on Chungoom and Rahab. Then we have Urek rushing in. Clowning on Rahab. I paused because clowning on Rahab made me think of something. But I'm going to move on for now. Then he just throws it back. It just slams it back. It rushes up again. And then incoming fist. Gets punched away. Just getting clowned on by Urek. And then starts pummeling it. And honestly, not a terrible plan by Neo, because Neo didn't say anything to Urek. Neo could be like, oh, no, I'm hurting. And then as soon as Urek takes out the bull, he's like, Urek, it wasn't the bull who did this. It was the princess. And then bam, both the bull and the princess are taken out. Right? And now it's, okay, it managed to move out of the way and get out of there. Urek's now coming in with Shinsu, though. And punches it away again. We have a lot of similar looking panels going on. This time he's kicking energy down into it. And now he's bringing the snake tendrils of Shinsu in. To let loose what should be a finisher, you would think. Oh yeah. He's green-blooded. He's down. He's pretty messed up. Unless maybe the gem can add some regen or something. Such power. Has he been holding back this entire time? It's annoying having to restrain myself, but I can't let this thing die too fast. Okay, the gem starts shining. You're surprised by it. What happened? It just... Oh. The designs are, as usual, looking very, very cool. It mutated. It digivolved. It transformed. Okay. The jewel is spiraling out of control at this rate. Okay, so again, Neo knows how the jewels work. We'll all be in danger. Urek, oh, watch out. And again, would this jewel be like a Shining One jewel, or do they just make lower level jewels, like false jewels or something? He calls for Urek, watch out. That thing is going in. It bites down, but Urek, you know, the dodge, his strongest move in the spinoff. Doing more dodging. His specialty. Okay, it roars. And then, hold on. Its face looks a little different here. The face tentacle is kind of missing. And this time he tanks it. It actually made contact. I know what this power is. A tainted jewel. Okay, so it's a tainted jewel. So, again, Phantaminum called himself king of the jewels and everything. So maybe Phantaminum sealed the... you know, what is it? The Shining Ones into jewels, but then also made more jewels by sealing just other people, just making jewel abilities. And if so, maybe it could be interesting if we tied this into, like if we tied all of this stuff into Calivan's backstory. Because remember, the guy from Calivan's backstory won all these battles, became super powerful and everything, fell to despair, being like everything is meaningless or whatever, and then became a jewel. So we know of a guy who became a jewel from the main series. So maybe that's part of what the ascetics are for, is sacrificing them to, gather their essences into making tainted jewels, perhaps? Okay, so this is just its face turned sideways. I was going to say maybe the reason it looked different last time is just because it keeps warping and changing, but I'm not sure if that's true. Okay. He punches and looks like... What is going on here? So he swings. Does it avoid it maybe and then go at him with its tail? But he's just tanking the hits? Get your disgusting smelly mouth. I guess it's not the tail, it's the tentacle. Away from me. He goes for another punch that may or may not have connected. We have a thwack sound effect this time, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like a lot's happening. The gem starts to break apart. And the Shinsu punch is able to connect explosively. It's rippling through the ground. And sends it burrows him into the side of the cliff, I guess. Urek walks through to the other side where he's now laying. I wanted to beat you up a bit more before killing you, because of what you did to Rohan. But you sealed your fate when you shoved your smelly, rotten teeth right in my face. He leans in. If you can't talk, use your eyes to point. Who gave you the tainted jewel? And Rahab comes down to confront Chungum. Rahab, I thought you weren't going to intervene. When the queen appeared out of nowhere and attacked the regulars in the test site, I had no choice but to intervene. Furthermore, I was forced to step in and kill the strange rancor who broke into the site to ensure the safety of the regulars. Okay, so Chungum might get taken out here by Rahab then. Because Rahab needs to keep his cover as the test administrator or whatever. So he is going to be like, okay guys, look, I'm not suspicious. I took down the queen who was a threat to the regulars, and I also took out this rancor who broke in and killed Baskerville. So he may either kill Chungum here or fake his death. That sounds like a good cover-up, don't you think? Do it. Point me to the one who put this stink on you. Weird way to put it, but, it doesn't not make sense, obviously. Alright, I will say, loving the general story and characters still with the spinoff, but I will say the weak point of the spinoff is actually the action, and that might be Tower of God as a whole. I feel like pre-Season 3 Tower of God fights, or actually, I guess maybe Last Station Tower of God fights, there was a lot more thought put into what the characters were doing, and most of what they were doing was just really tied into the story. We didn't get fights very often. Like, you look at older Tower of God stuff, we don't really get fights very often, and when we do get them, they're typically really short, and they are more just to progress the story and characters. Like, the story of Tower of God in the beginning through, Bomb vs. Dad is a Heart on the Hidden Floor was mostly just about the characters and the journey and all of that. And there were fights, but the fights just happened occasionally to service that. But as we went along the Hell Train, we had more and more fights until Season 3. We just had a lot. And the fights became a lot less thoughtful. We still have really thoughtful fights, really good fights, but the average fight, Tower of Beams became the meme, the joke, became less thoughtful. And I think that modern Tower of God, and I say modern like the past 5 years or so, probably well over 5 years we've been in Season 3 / the spinoff, right? I think there have been more fights, and the fights have been worse. I feel like the fights have lasted longer, they've served the story and characters less well, and the choreography is often just not that good. Sometimes it's great. Sometimes CU does do a good job with the fights and their choreography, but very often they're kind of the weak point. So I would say, again, I'm liking the story and characters right now, but I will say all the fights we've had so far involving Urek and everything, I feel like in terms of like the actual choreography of them and how much I care for what they're doing for the story, the fights feel like just a lot of time spent on, okay, another panel of a punch, another panel of a beam, another panel of his shoe. It feels like that's a lot of the fights in the spinoff. And again, this isn't a spinoff only thing. It's been Tower of God for a while. The fights are just CU's weak point. I feel like that's something that CU isn't excelling at compared to other things. So spending more time on something that's not the strongest point isn't the best. But again, you could just write the fights to be better. Like for me, when we have these fights that are just Tower of Beam style fights, Dragonball T for Tower of God, the Dragonball T fights, I feel are some of the weakest stuff. And when you do read them, it's like, okay, we spent a chapter on this fight, which means that it feels like we didn't get a lot of content as compared to some of the story chapters where it feels like we got so much to happen and there's so much to discuss. When I have a chapter like this, I'm like, okay, we got some neat things to discuss, some neat character stuff with Neo, the princess, Urek, because the princess was just gonna be like, no, it was me that hurt your teammates. With Neo, the princess, Urek, and then then with Chungum and with like Neo really had the most character stuff between, you know, mentioning the gem stuff and then also the stuff at the beginning. But Chungum and Rahab, I keep forgetting Rahab's name. That was all like good, neat character stuff, but it was just like, you know, that good, neat character stuff was just in a occasional panel here and there with a lot of the fight felt just like filler in between, with just a lot of filler in between. Like the ideas of the fight, I mentioned like with some of the good fights before, like with Jinsung versus Perditi and Holin, you know, you get their abilities and everything, and you learn a lot about all of them as characters, and there's this flow of Jinsung trying to protect Bomb and them trying to move forward and how the different attacks work with that, and then Bomb shows up, and the pace changes with Bomb and Jinsung then going more on the offensive, but then you have Perditi and Perseus, I'm not sure if I got one of the names wrong before, sorry. With them shifting up the strategy, it's like, okay, now they're going on the offensive, but also we're not trying to push against them anymore, we're trying to pull them back so that they'll be in Traumare's range. So there is this thought behind it, and that's how all the good fights are, again, all throughout Tower of God, all throughout any series. You can point to say, okay, this character was doing this because of this, and this led to this, and that's what I mean by the fights telling a really good story and fitting in with the characters. And here it's like, okay, Urek wanted to hurt the creature because he hurt his friends, but then he got mad because he put his teeth near him, so then he just went ahead to finish him off and everything. And we have the first stage where Urek is just fighting it and everything, but then it gets injured, so it transforms itself using the power of the jewel, and the fight continues on from there. But with that being what the story of the fight was, it just felt like that the story of that fight was told to us in like 1/3 of the panels, and a lot of the others were filler, which again isn't some huge complaint for me. I'm not saying it's some like big terrible thing. Just if you want me to analyze the chapter itself, a lot of the fight just felt like, yeah, we could have spent that time on something else. So yeah, just I guess you could just take away that I'm not the biggest fan of the Dragonball T Tower of God fights, the Tower of Beams fights. Even though it wasn't necessarily beams, it just felt like, you know, a bit of wasted time and a lot of repetitive panels, and repetitive things happening in fights is another complaint for a lot of the Tower of God fights that I've brought up, where it's like there are times when we see the same thing, like when there was Holin with Andrasi, like Holin and Bellarir with Andrasi, where they have the same thing happen like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, why didn't they just have that happen once? Like, we didn't need like something like, I forget what the details were. It was something along the lines of like gosh, I wish I remembered, but something like Belerier captures Andrasi, Bomb saves Andrasi from that, Holland knocks away Bomb, Belerier captures Andrasi, Bomb knocks away Belerier, Holland interrupts Bomb again, and that same thing happens like 3 times, and I'm like, you could have told the fight story with that happening like once. It's kind of weird that you had the exact same thing happen like 3 times. And it wasn't that exactly. I'm having trouble remembering what it was exactly, but it was something along those lines. So kind of odd there. But either way, I guess I'll end the video off here for this week. Next week, I mentioned it in the ORV video. I forget if I mentioned it in the intro here. But since Christmas Eve is on Wednesday and Christmas is on Thursday, I think, I will try to do this video either Monday night or Tuesday, because these chapters come out for me late Monday night. So either late Monday or sometime on Tuesday, I'll try to get the video up. But either way, with that aside, I guess I'm done. So, maybe there was more to discuss, but I can't think of anything right now. So thank you for watching. Like if you did like the video, comment down there to tell me what you thought of the chapter, my thoughts and reaction. Subscribe for more Tower of God, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. If you want a link to the Discord server, it's free and open for anyone. If you want to help support the channel by dropping a super thanks or sharing around, it's appreciated. If you want to help support the channel by becoming a member or patron, helping me to continue to keep making videos, getting One Piece Bingo a bit early, and getting your name at the end of videos, then hit join down below to become a member. Go to patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to become a patron. Thank you so much to people who were already members and patrons. Thank you to chosen regulars Evan Hawley and Bertie Wooster, Magical Girls, DD Ban and Maru, Sheridan Student, David Langstaff, Slayer Candidates, STN Stan Cedar, and Pure Elements, Pater Dial, and also the Storyteller. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.